Ferrari has messed up again in Formula One, and team principal Frederic Vasseur knows it. It has done so for the fourth weekend in a row if we consider the disastrous performance at the Montreal circuit in Canada. The triple header that concluded last weekend with the 12th round at the historic Silverstone track rightfully enters the annals of the top category as yet another blunder for the Italian side. The conclusion of a nightmare cycle of races for Ferrari, marking a worrying regression of the SF24, which became evident at the Silverstone circuit. It happened when the engineers from Maranello decided to compare the two specifications of the car, pre- and post-update that debuted at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. The choice to return to the post-Imola version certified a clear and obvious fact. The development for the 676 project introduced in Spain, at least for the moment, guarantees greater driving stability. However, the characteristics of the red car did not suit the layout of the English circuit, a mix of various types of corners where achieving the aero-mechanical compromise is fundamental. The track can be defined as a very effective scenario to verify the progress of the cars. That's why, analyzing the situation with a broad view, it doesn't seem so absurd to affirm that, without a shadow of a doubt, at this stage of the F1 World Championship, the performance curve of the SF24 seems to be descending. A really bad sign, considering that there are still several races on the calendar and there is a sense of just wanting the season to end as soon as possible. In the post-race, as has been happening for a few F1 rounds now, the team principal of the prancing horse seems not to make a drama, remains calm, and tries to explain how things went. According to the French executive, therefore, uninstalling the latest version of updates from both cars is not a drama at all. We are only talking about a necessary action on a track with adverse characteristics compared to the latest specification. It's like comparing the updated version from Spain to software that works well only on certain types of operating systems, while on others it just can't make a difference, in fact worsening things. A paradox that masks the technical disorientation compared to the on-track results, which clearly in the last 3 weeks do not correspond at all to the simulations carried out inside the factory. The carefree attitude of the head of the Ferrari racing division is seen as quite disrespectful by some fans considering the most serious technical crisis of his mandate. Charles Leclerc, at the end of the 2024 Formula One British Grand Prix, stopped adhering to the communicative strategy of the historic Italian team, and there was nothing his media communications manager could do in the face of the Monegasque driver's ire, expressed bluntly in front of journalists' microphones from all over the world. The Ferrari boss does not lose his serene calm. Without a doubt, it's a good thing, but the race analysis seems distorted, full of ifs and buts that Ferrari fans around the world have been listening to resignedly for at least 3 decades. To tell the truth, Frederic Vasseur almost seems like a guest on the pit wall. In past years, we have been used to observing Toto Wolff's approach when it was necessary to communicate with the drivers. The same can be said in the past of other team principals of the same Ferrari team. We don't recall a team radio from the Frenchman to the drivers in a year and a half of races, whether it is a compliment, a warning, or an apology to the drivers. By his nature, the French manager delegates responsibilities, which is fine only if one has total control of the situation. However, when a critical issue arises, the leader should respond present. Frederic Vasseur on the pit wall seems like a spectator, a sort of observer of his men's work. For example, when there was still a great idol between Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton, the Austrian manager did not hesitate to apologize live on worldwide television for providing him with a shitbox, as was the case in Baku 2022. Christian Horner often intervened in the dialogues between the pit box and Max Verstappen and made an impression, and even Mattia Binotto was able to cool Charles Leclerc's anger in Singapore 2019 and Turkey 2020. This is truly the first year of the Frenchman's mandate, and for this simple reason, any type of evaluation should be made at the end of the 2024 Formula One Championship. However, current events require us to highlight the matter quite clearly and analyze one of the worst weekends for Ferrari from all points of view. Resilience is certainly not lacking in Frederic Vasseur. As the smart man he is, the head of Ferrari will certainly have understood that Ferrari is not just any Formula One team, but a legendary entity that dispenses emotions. A serious thing, in short. Ferrari will be stuck with its SF24 problems for the upcoming F1 Hungarian Grand Prix, but team boss Frederic Vasseur has soothed concerns around its upgrades. A package introduced by the Scuderia in Spain has not had the desired effect, with the team suffering a slump in performance in the last 4 races, including a double retirement in Canada and 2 non-scores for Charles Leclerc in Austria and Britain. The problem with the car is an aerodynamic one, with porpoising reappearing for the team, especially in Spain, where it had an impact on Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. For the British Grand Prix, Ferrari scaled back the upgrade and spent the weekend conducting back-to-back tests of the packages to find a way forward, something Charles Leclerc felt worked well. When questioned about the car's performance, team principal Fred Vasseur praised Ferrari's upgrade pace during his tenure and added that he felt the team was on the verge of a breakthrough in understanding. The Frenchman explained to the media that the problem was related to aerodynamics, as changing the aero parts in Spain led to the bouncing issue. He mentioned that there were multiple solutions to address this, some with compromises on performance and others involving the development of a new package, which he believed they had now achieved. Fred Vasseur indicated that they would have to manage the current car's issues at the next race and hope to bring an upgrade with less bouncing as soon as possible. The French manager stated that he could not comment on past years like 2020, 2021, or 1994, but at the same time noted that over the last 16 months, all the upgrades had shown a very good correlation with wind tunnel results. He highlighted that bringing smaller upgrades had consistently paid off in the previous year, although they encountered an issue with the most recent one. Both Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz have been heard complaining about bouncing in the high-speed corners when they are in qualifying trim, which was noticeable at Silverstone through GPS data. Ye Spaniard had to lift through the high-speed right-hander of Corpse Corner, while pole-sitter George Russell could take it flat out without lifting the throttle. Whereas other teams have found ways to minimize or eliminate the bouncing effect since the introduction of ground effect cars in 2022, it has been a characteristic that has carried through Ferrari's cars. Ferrari's hopes of back-to-back testing at the Silverstone circuit were slightly impacted by the weather, with cold and wet conditions throughout the weekend. Frederic Vasseur labeled the decision to sacrifice Friday practice as difficult. However, he felt that the decision to not focus on outright performance and instead work on understanding the problems of the SF24 was ultimately the right one. He acknowledged that compromising or sacrificing Friday sessions, despite knowing it would mean losing time during the weekend, was a challenging decision for the Maranello team. This was particularly true given the adverse weather conditions at Silverstone, which put them in a tough situation. Despite these challenges, Frederic Vasseur believed it was the right call to prioritize understanding the car's issues. He noted that the correlation between the downforce and the actual performance was satisfactory. However, the French manager pointed out that the issue of bouncing sometimes unexpectedly arises and is difficult to correlate because it does not occur in the wind tunnel.